Hey ghouls and gals, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor and today's video is going to be my March TBR slash look at some of the plans that I have coming up for content in the month of March. It feels so premature to be filming this because it doesn't feel like we're almost 3 months into a new year, but it is what it is. I'm filming this in February. Obviously, by the time you're seeing this, it is March, so happy 3rd month of 2025. Time is crazy. So yeah, I have a pretty, I don't know, all over the place TBR and video plans for this month, to be honest. It really crept up on me. And even though we're already 3 months into a new year, I feel like I still want to add some new goals for my 2025 reading goals. I didn't have a lot in January, and I figured, you know, we'll take the first 2 months and kind of see how my reading is going, how I want to adjust it to get the best possible reading year. So that's what we're gonna do. Reading is gonna be all over the place. First of all, I'm going to have a March arc reading vlog. I've got 4 arcs that I'm reading in that vlog. You should see that at the very beginning of March. I am so excited. It's some wild card picks and also some of my most anticipated releases of the year. One of the books that I will be reviewing in that vlog is Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen. It's an absolutely gorgeous cover, so you can expect me to review this one as well as 3 other March new releases. Keeping on with the theme of the new release books, I am planning a, I don't know what I want to call it, but like an Appalachian horror vlog, an Appalachian cottagecore, goblin core. Like, there were a lot of books that came out last year and then this year that are set in Appalachia and have like gothic elements or fantastical horror elements. So I picked out a couple of books and I'm going to be reading them for a vlog. One of those books is going to be Moth Eater by Linda H. Kodega. This is a horror fantasy and it has an absolutely gorgeous cover. That's what I'm kind of excited about this vlog, is that the covers, they're all very green, they're all very lush and vibrant and just very beautiful. So aesthetically, they're going to look really nice together, and they're not all like the same sort of horror story. They're definitely different subgenres of horror, and this one is even like a horror fantasy. So even though they take place in the same geographic location, they're going to be very different reading experiences. But this is one book that I will be reading for that vlog. Look at me actually reading my book box books. That's a goal of 2025, is because I do have now 2 subscriptions, an Evernight and an Aardvark book club box. I have to read them. I can't just let them pile up and not read them. I have to actively read them and integrate them into reading vlogs and reading plans. So we'll be reading this one in March. Continuing on with new releases, but moving into the movie realm as opposed to the book realm, I am going to be trying something a little bit new, a little bit different for me. Osgood Perkins the Monkey comes out at the end of February, and it is based off of a Stephen King short story in the short story collection Skeleton Crew. So I'm planning a video, it'll be coming out in March, where I am comparing the movie to the short story. I'm honestly someone who, I don't think the book is automatically better. I have a couple of movies in mind actually that just for me work a little bit better than the book, and there are a lot of movie adaptations where I feel like are like on the same level as the book. So I feel like it could be fun to watch the movie, read the short story, because I have not read that short story yet, and kind of compare the two and see which one I like more. So planning on doing that. It's definitely one of my most anticipated movies. I love Osgood Perkins. I love Stephen King. This seems like a horror match made in heaven. So hopefully I enjoy both this movie and the source material. One of my 2025 reading goals was to keep reading more nonfiction, and that's a goal. It turns out, unless I make specific TBRs and talk about specific books, like really cement a specific TBR for just my nonfiction, it's not a goal that I prioritize, and it's not one that's going to get completed. So for March, my nonfiction book, of course I could read more than this, but the one book that I would like to get to would be Women in the Valley of the Kings, The Untold Story of Women Egyptologists in the Gilded Age by Kathleen Shepard. I was an Egyptology girl as a kid. I loved Egypt. ancient Egypt, like Egypt mythology, I really enjoyed that. I feel like a lot of readers, like they gravitate towards a specific mythology, and then from the mythology they go into just having a little phase where they are obsessed with a history of a certain time and place. That was me with ancient Egypt, so I very much am looking forward to checking this book out. This is the never before told story of the women Egyptologists who paved the way of exploration in Egypt and created the very basis for Egyptology. So it is Women's History Month for March, so this seems like a perfect nonfiction read. And then last but not least, as the weather is warming up, I am craving fantasy. I'm craving fantasy. I want 2025 to be the year where I find some great new fantasy books, some new, to me, fantasy series, because my next goal is to read at least, like, check out one older backlist fantasy, and not even from like the 2010s. I want to go back to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. Like, I want to try some backlist epic fantasy. In the month of February, I read Fever Dream by George R.R. Martin. This is a standalone historical horror, but it really got me remembering how much I liked Game of Thrones, the very first book in that series, and I don't know if I necessarily want to start with that series because it's just, listen, I liked the first book. I appreciate the premise. I'm intrigued by the premise. I have seen the entire series, but the fact that it is an incomplete book series like makes me so hesitant to pick that one up. But I am craving like the backlist older fantasies, so I would like to dive into some epic fantasy and some backlist fantasy to kind of mix things up for myself. So I'm thinking maybe checking out authors like Terry Pratchett, Patricia McKillop, Catherine Kerr, Tad Williams, people like that who are very prolific in the fantasy space, and I haven't read anything by them. So if you have any recommendations, like your holy grail for older fantasy that still stands up today, let me know down below, because this is not going to be just a March thing. I would honestly be happy if I tried one new series in March, because epic fantasy books tend to be very large, right? So if you have any recommendations, leave them down below. I'll probably pull from them throughout the year, because this is a year-long project. I just think last year, looking at my favorite books of 2024, I think about 8 out of 10 of them were from 2024. The other two, I think the other one was from 2023. So it wasn't like a wide spread of years, and I know that there is so much fiction that I have not read, have not heard about. Obviously, I understand the importance of talking about new books, especially as a booktuber, because talking about new releases and championing new authors is important just because of the way the book publishing industry is. So I'm not going to stop reading new releases. I've liked a lot of new releases this year, but I would also like to incorporate some backlist titles into my reading. So those are my reading plans for March. Definitely a little bit of everything here. Some very new releases with the ARC vlog, and then some very old backlist titles with my adventure into epic fantasy. That is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a comment down below, leave a green emoji down below, or give me an epic fantasy rec. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a video from me. Stay safe, stay spooky, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye!